Let's dive into this, James. I'm going to start with what I think is a very super easy one, but what are we talking about? Can you give us a quick history lesson?
Sure, and thank you, Kurt, for putting this thing together. Like Kurt said, my name is James Self. I am a strategic account metalworking specialist for Fastenal. Been with Fastenal for 23 years, and I am based out of Birmingham, Alabama. I've been in the metalworking department since 2011. So happy to be here. Love to talk cost savings. First, let's talk a little bit about Fastenal's metalworking program. The Fastenal Metalworking Department was launched in 2010 to focus, to start with, only on cutting tools. Then, about a year into the role, we added in the abrasives. And there's work holding, tool holding, coolants. There's things that make up the metalworking category for us, but primarily it's cutting tools and abrasives. That makes up about 90% of the revenue. Since 2010, we've grown from 100 million in top line revenue, which was mostly in high-speed steel drills and things, general purpose type of cutting tools and abrasives. And since then, we've grown to a $700 million business unit. So a lot of growth. We wanted to 10x the 100 million and be at a billion. We're three-quarters of the way there. We'll be there in
Baby
the next
steps.
couple of years. Yeah.
Yeah.
Um, so we've partnered with hundreds of the OE manufacturers in the carbide insert world and the cutting tool world. We've assembled a team of experts around the category. We've got about 50 plus folks inside the metalworking department focused exclusively on driving the revenue for that. We, as a department, we have aligned with Fastenal's proven supply chain solutions, all the things, the on-site model, the vending model, that all marries up really nicely with our product category, which is great. But we've kept an intense focus on continuous improvement within our department, and I'll talk a good bit about that. But for our customers, what this means is it's turned into several millions of dollars in documented cost savings. So in 2024, our department documented over $7 million and signed off on verified cost savings for our customers. And already in 2025, we have documented almost 3 million and signed off on savings for our customers. So
That is crazy. It feels like you hit a lot of stuff there. It feels like we're talking about cost savings right out of the gate, and we're gonna, I think, dive into how we get to those cost savings. So I think we need to talk about three words: field application specialists. What do they do?
Oh, yes. Thank you. It's one of my favorite topics. Our field application specialists are spindle optimization experts. These folks lead the cost savings process for our metalworking program customers. Our FAS team consists of professionals with extensive technical background. Many of them are former engineers and machinists. They bring a really high level of practical and analytical expertise to the manufacturing environment. When these folks are deployed, our FAS personnel spend approximately 90% of their time right on the shop floor, working directly at the spindle to assess machining operations and implement data-driven process improvement. Their recommendations include optimizing speeds and feeds, transitioning to high performance tooling, reducing tool changeover through multifunctional tooling, recommending advanced coatings, all the things that are aimed at improving cycle times, extending tool life, and lowering cost per part. These folks offer things like machinist trainings, product seminars, machining optimization, SKU consolidation, high volume tool assessments. Ultimately, their goal is to get some signed cost savings documentation for our program customers.
Okay, so first of all, spindle optimization experts. That should either be the new name of the team or a band because that's fantastic. I absolutely love it. But I think I'm going to try to paraphrase what you were saying there. Field application specialists are people you can trust to guide decisions on all things metalworking. Is that fair? Okay.
Absolutely. I like the way you said it better, actually, Kurt.
Okay, so like let's talk a little bit about like an area that, well, I feel like everybody is looking for this all the time. Piece price savings. Everybody gets this question, James, so I'm betting you already have an answer, but how can people find savings via piece price?
It's a great question, Kurt. Thank you for asking. And we absolutely care about being competitive and saving our customers money on the piece price of the tool. The price of the tooling is almost always the first conversation that we have with our customers because we typically start at the RFP, RFQ process and, in a bid process. But there's other things we do. We also help our customers leverage their spend with the OE manufacturers for either deeper discounts or special pricing agreements. You'll hear in the industry SPA, it's a very, very common term. And in many cases, we identify opportunities where exclusive brands or other product substitutions
I was going to ask about
significantly
that.
reduce the tooling costs for our customers. Many of the projects that we propose to our customers are based on our assessment of the highest volume tools, for example, that our customers use, and we make recommendations of either consolidating those parts, either by manufacturer or by product type, all things that can help our partners see the value in a piece price reduction within their supply chain. Our experience has also shown that the metalworking category is uniquely positioned to really impact labor and production costs, despite being typically a small percentage of a customer's finished product costs. And I do have some visual slides. It's only 2 slides for the audience, I promise. When we first started talking about doing this thing, Kurt was very like, "Hey, no slides." I was like, "Give me two. Give
Yep.
me two."
Yep.
So Kurt,
Okay.
if you want to go into presentation mode from beginning right there and then click one more time, I'll just
Got
step
it.
through these.
Walk me through it.
So so at Fastenal, we take a total cost of ownership approach to the metalworking category, much like Bob Kierlin, our founder, wants us to do or wanted us to do, rest his soul, on everything that we sell for our customers, because there's a lot of other costs inside of everything that you buy outside of the piece price of that product. For the cutting tools, for example, on a finished part that our customers manufacture, the metalworking items represent about 3% of the cost of that finished part. So when we look at things like material costs, machinery, labor, and facility and admin, we like to ask ourselves, what are some things we can do with the category that will help remove cost out of some of those other parts of the cost chart that you see there? And so what we did was we broke down this chart into a fictitious $100 part so that the math is easy for our customers, so that we can show the impact of a piece price reduction, tool life extension, or productivity improvement. So if you want to go ahead and go on to the next slide, Kurt, and click one
Okay.
more time.
Sure. $100. Okay. I
Yeah,
see it.
$100 part. So this is like a snapshot of what a current state should look like from that previous pie chart over to $100 made up part that our customers manufacture. And you see the percentages there equal exactly to the dollar amount. The reason that we
Oh,
use the $100 example is because it
so that
makes
my
the
brain can
math and the
understand it.
numbers real easy to follow. Yeah. So when we look at it and say that we were able to come in and just offer our customers a 30% discount on everything they buy today,
Sure.
then what you would see is that the cutting tools, go ahead, Kurt.
Oh, yeah.
So you would see that the cutting tool price reduced to $2.10. Nothing else changed, and that's about a 1% savings. We absolutely want to find that
Hmm.
impact for our customers, but there's two other areas that we focus on because our process goes a lot deeper than just the piece price of the tools. So in the next example, we said, hey, what if we doubled the tool life of all the tools that our customers use? What would the impact be? And so that would be 100% increase in tool life. And then you see there that the $3 piece price actually gets cut in half because that is the impact when you buy less, when you buy half as many. And if you double tool life, you should be able to buy half as many. But you also see that the labor is impacted as well because you're not having to change that tool out as much. There's some
Right.
other things that go into that I'll talk about in just a minute, but I just like the visual because it says, okay, we're at 4% savings now for our customers by doubling their tool life. We only got 1% by showing them a 30% discount. So what would happen if we sold our customers a more expensive tool, but we allowed them to produce 20% more of what they're producing today in the same amount of time? And in this example, you see that a more expensive tool, a $4 tool, actually puts them in the 4% range on that $100 part. But if you're producing 20% more items, then your labor now per item is a lot more reduced. And your facility and admin, those fixed costs, overhead, now get spread out over 20% more sellable finished products. So this is how we get our customers to that double digit savings. And really, this is one of the first, steps or examples that I show our customers on things we do to try to help make them more profitable.
This
So
feels
you
very
see the
counterintuitive
10%.
to me. Like
Yeah.
you are basically almost, well, you're increasing the cutting tool cost, but you're basically unlocking a better overall savings. That's
Yes.
yeah. You have to like,
Yes.
and I see why you're walking people through this because you have to understand that that's how that to get the real savings, you need to go at it that way.
Yeah. And I
Okay.
do like this example, and then we'll get off of this because for the metalworking department, being focused on cost savings for our customers is very important. Our customers are really starved for that,
Hmm.
especially in this tariff-ridden environment, the uncertainty around piece price environment. But I like
Hmm.
to show like there's three main categories that we attempt to show our customers cost savings with. First one being piece price, second one being tool life extension, third one being productivity improvement or cycle time reduction is
Right.
how you'll hear that worded. Yep.
Okay. Well, I'm going to stop sharing. And I think I, to me, I was kind of hinting at it there. I, I think I follow what you're saying there, and I feel like this is a fair follow-up because in our prep call, you said something along the lines of the real savings are in tool life extension. Did I misquote you, or can you further expand on what those savings are?
Yeah, so I do think that what I said was that tool life extension is real cost savings.
That's what it
So
was. Okay.
but it's fair because if we're going to really impact the bottom line for our customers, we have to be focused on all three. And really, our customers, anybody that they choose to buy their production cutting tools, production abrasives from, should require that of that distributor. Because when tools last longer in the spindle, they require fewer changes, resulting in reduced machine downtime, fewer manual touches, and ultimately lower labor costs for our customers. In order to extend tool life, we help our customers optimize cutting parameters, ensure proper tool and workpiece setup, use effective coolant and lubrication.
Hmm.
Things that our customers should consider is that geometry, tool coating, chip evacuation, the material being machined. These are all factors that our field application specialists, they are trained and help bring those solutions to our customers.
I'm glad you're the one talking about geometry and not me. That's all I'm going to say.
Well,
But I
in
do
the
think it's
last
pretty easy to,
so on the tool life extension piece, in the
yeah,
last 20 years, the coatings that manufacturers are using on their products,
mhm,
there have been significant advancements in that technology. So machining harder material with carbide, that has gotten a lot easier. I use the term lightly, a lot easier
right,
than it was 20 years ago because of the coatings that are now available, and allowing the chips to evacuate a lot faster, but more importantly, allowing that tool to last a lot longer in that material, because heat and pressure is what kills your tools. So
right.
those coatings help keep the tools cooler. So that, taking advantage of the advancements in technology is one thing that our field application specialists love to do for our customers. And so extending tool life is absolutely real cost savings.
And it's easy to see how that would lead to savings, cost savings. But I think we should shift over. We kind of talked about how we were going to help people save time. Let's talk more about cycle time. What tricks do you have up your sleeve to give people time back?
So when I talk about helping make our customers more profitable, cycle time reduction is almost always the key to that. That's about making machining processes faster and more efficient, leading to increased output, lower production costs for our customers, and really faster lead times for our customers to deliver their products to their customers. So my goal is to help make all of my customers more profitable, and reducing cycle times, that really increases that profitability for our customers. And for our best metalworking customers, the cycle time reduction is almost always a top priority for our field application
Right.
specialists. A term in the industry, cycle time is king.
Mhm.
That holds true for most of the customers that we deal with, because when I'm in those C-suite type meetings with decision makers for large manufacturing facilities, and I ask them, hey, if we were able to help you produce more parts, would you be able to sell those parts in the open market today the way it sits? The answer is almost always yes.
Mhm.
So that tells you that a lot of our manufacturing customers want to make more than what they're currently making with all the constraints that they currently have. So things like horsepower of the CNC machine tool, RPM, max limits, those are all things that our field application specialists know to come in, understand that at a deeper, more granular type level, so that when we make recommendations, having our customers able to run at a faster speed and feed, to produce more parts faster in the same amount of time, that almost always makes our customers more profitable, more competitive in their environment. So it's a very important focus for us.
Cycle time was huge, both at the newspaper and then when I was in the publishing industry trying to make textbooks. We think about it in terms of just maybe it's in this industry or this industry, but it's absolutely everywhere. So when you are making X number of textbooks, wouldn't it be great if you could make X plus Y? Like any amount of Y is going to be just instant winning. So
Yes.
I fully agree with what you're saying there, and I guess I have a weird follow-up. If this is too off script, you let me know. But is it fair to think about cost savings as an equation? And if people, not even cost savings, but like improvements as an equation. Like if people want to target cost savings or time or whatever it is that they're looking for, can you think about it in terms of, well, if we make a tweak here, it's going to have a ripple effect and you're going to get the result that you want? Is that kind of what we're talking about here?
Yes, I think I understand your question. It is
It was a great question, I know.
absolutely,
Yeah.
yeah, it's a formula based off of the customer's burden rate per hourly burden rate. That's so the time savings is calculated by that. But I tell customers all the time that the biggest win that our field application specialists can show our partners is when they go in, they understand the current supply chain, they can propose something that is cheaper, that will run longer, and be able to be ran faster because that's kind of that home run. You
Yeah.
know, that's where we're really showing the customer, hey, this is freeing up $150,000 annually for you to either produce more or to redirect that labor, whatever you want to do with it. But that's really the best case scenario because we can't, for example, we can't come in and you know say there's multiple lines in a manufacturer's facility and one line is running at capacity and doing okay, but there's some opportunity to speed that up. But if we did speed this one line up, if that creates a bottleneck somewhere else, then then we will still do that. We will still speed this line up, but then our next step is having to correct that bottleneck. So there are a lot of things that go into it. That's why having really technical expertise on the floor with you to help, that is where our field application specialists really shine because there have been some instances where we've gone in and, shown a customer a really big cost savings or a process improvement project for them to be like, oh, hey, we can't do that because we can't handle that capacity over here for whatever reason. So we sit in on the production meetings for our on-site manufacturer customers that we're in so that we can really be aware of what's going on and how to best impact that bottom line for our customers.
Okay.
So it
I
is an
think,
equation. There's a lot of moving parts, but the main takeaway for me is just knowing that, hey, these field application specialists that Fastenal have assembled, these folks are experts on metal removal and machining processes. I
okay.
tell people it's from the spindle to the sump. So the sump pump pumps the
Yeah.
coolant, we sell the coolant, but field application specialists just on a side note, so these folks they don't get paid like traditional sales folks within Fastenal. These folks are incentivized to go and show our customers cost savings, and they only get credit for that if the customer signs off on it. So they have a really big incentive to go in, educate the customer, show
Right.
them every step of the way what we're doing to help that customer, so that when we get it to the finish line, they can ultimately get credit for it. So that's that's a big change for traditional Fastenal folks.
Yeah, I can see that. Okay. That's interesting. Um, I I think I want to take us in a different vein of improvements here. Can you tell us about we've kind of I don't know about hinted at them, but I think there are different services out there that can seem like small potatoes, but once you actually start taking advantage of them, they make a big difference. Again, that's not my best question, but did that give you enough to go off of? Do you know where I'm trying to go?
So yeah, I think I know what you're asking. Our industrial services division, that offering really reflects Fastenal's commitment to showing our customers cost savings because we don't generate, a ton of revenue stream through things like tool regrind and reconditioning, calibration and repair services, high-speed steel and carbide recycling programs, coolant management programs, high-end asset repairs like spindles and control boards for CNC machines, all part of our metalworking industrial services that we do because it makes us a really robust metalworking program. When we look at the landscape in the US especially, we don't see any of our competitors doing all of the industrial services that we offer and with a team of application specialists and with the scale of Fastenal globally, it's unmatched.
Okay. I
So
feel
it's all
like,
about cost savings from the industrial services side.
okay, you knew where I was trying to go with that.
Yeah.
Um, Before we open it up for questions, and again, everybody, I see that Alex thinks that the music was good. Thank you, Alex. But I think there's plenty of time to still get a question in. Go ahead and drop them in. Um, Before we get to that, James, I'm going to put you on the spot. Can you share any case studies? Basically, I'm looking for something where there was like a significant improvement after implementing a metalworking solution. Do you have something?
Oh yeah, we do have several case studies, but some of the
Good.
ones that come to mind, and these are right on YouTube. Saffron Aerospace, Curtiss-Wright is a very good one. The impact has been felt throughout that entire company, the entire organization. There's several out there, but if you want to see some real big impact from case studies, Saffron and Curtiss-Wright, and there's a ton of other ones out there, but I would recommend those two.
Lightning quick. Henry already has it in the chat. Thank you, Henry.
Nice.
Uh, I think that was really the only, I put you on the spot and you just nailed it. So I think we're ready to open up the floor to questions. If anybody has anything where they want to try and stump James, go for it. If for some reason James doesn't have an answer, I will put you and an expert from Fastenal in touch and we can figure this out. We'll get you some help. So we got some pre-submitted questions. These are the ones from social media and email. If you recognize your question and you want to jump into chat and add on, let us know. First one is, what's the most random thing you've ever worked on? I'm going to guess that's for you, James, and not me, because people don't care about what I've worked on.
I mean, I don't know if it's the most random, but I have a lot of really cool customers. They make a lot of
I
cool
bet.
stuff.
Yeah.
We do sign NDAs with all of them, so can't
Right?
talk
No
specifically
names.
about what
Yep.
they do, but I'll say not the most random, but one of the coolest. On a helicopter, the main rotor connector,
Hmm.
that was a really cool part. Started out as a big billet of titanium, 100 pounds gets reduced down to about 18. That was a nice finish part. Yes.
How many openings are in a part like that? Like, is that just like
It's
crazy openings?
yes,
And
cavities
you
and
mentioned
yes, small.
geometry before. I mean,
Yes,
that's got to be just insane.
yes,
Curves and everything. Okay. I
yes.
I'm gonna look it up when we get done here. Uh, we got another one here. Um, you guys are known for your vending machines. Yes, we are. Thank you very much. Do you do that for metalworking, James?
Absolutely. Yes. We have a lot of vending that it's not made specifically for metalworking because it will hold other products that are similarly sized, but we have our Fast 10,000s is a Lista style drawer unit that gives customers drawer access, and then it's all weighted modules for each individual piece. That is a very nice addition. We've got our Fast Secures that we launched, or I think we launched them at the customer show back in April. That these are the roto
Oh, the
bin
carousel?
style, yeah, the carousel style,
Yeah.
and when we launched the Fast 10,000s or the 10Ks, those things, that was pretty nice for us to be able to hold, several hundred different SKUs within that
Hmm.
vending. The carousel new fast secure vending offering that we have, I want to say the max capacity on that one is 720 SKUs. So it's it's
It's a
game
big step up.
changer for when we come in and take over a tool crib and we have to store all that customers, you know, either current inventory or the inventory that we're going to be vending. It's really nice to have some high capacity vending that is tailored to cutting tools and abrasives. So yes, absolutely.
Okay. Um, I only have one more pre-submitted question, and I haven't been checking the Q&A, but we'll get through this and then I'll click over. Henry, let me know if there's anything not coming in or if there is something that you want me to address. Um, What's the most you could realistically speed up a process? Is it like 5 to 10%? I'm not an expert, but I bet that depends on the process. James, you want to give me a yes or no on that?
I mean, it does depend, but it, if you have like I'll just use some real life examples. So
Okay.
one time we went into a customer that was they were using a shoulder mill to create a hole in a big piece of steel. It had a big center hole, and they were using a shoulder mill and just interpolating down this hole. It's taking them 15 to 20 minutes. They had all the horsepower and RPM that they needed. We said, hey, would you be able to use just a modular drill type for that could create that hole? Took it from 15 minutes down to about a minute and a half. So whatever the percentage of
Yep.
improvement is on that one, I'll use that one as like the high end. There's other times where if we get 1, 2, 3% improvement in cycle time for folks that, it's a 1 minute cycle time and they're making 100 million of these a year. If we can shave 3 seconds out of that, that improvement is very significant because of the volume. So
Right.
so it, you know, the second example would be actually way more valuable probably to that customer than the first example where we took a 15-minute, 2-inch diameter hole and took that down to a minute and a half. That was still very significant to that customer, just like if we can shave 3 seconds out of a mass produced cycle
Yep.
time item, very significant to our customers. So it's I don't
It's
I
this
don't know if
typical
that's a
answer of
fancy word.
it depends.
Yes.
Yeah, 5 to 10% might be a massive change depending on the process itself. Okay,
Yes.
we get you. Yeah. I do see that we had two questions come in. I think one of which is actually from our Fastenal employee in the Curtiss-Wright site. They're currently operating like a huge job shop. And he's got a question here. What cost savings opportunities outside of conversions are there for this kind of situation? I don't know that we need to dive into that right now. Brandon, I'm going to put you in touch with James just like I promised, and we'll get you some answers. Evan, I see your question here. The equation side of things sounds great. However, have you run into a situation where the customer is still going into the process thinking that your sole priority is just to sell them more expensive tools? Uh, I got to imagine that happens.
Well, it does, and in that case, it really is, a requirement that we back up and we sit down with the customer and we explain to them what we focus on as a
Hmm.
department. Because, there are times, Kurt, I'll have customers that I present the program to that will say things like, "Oh, well, we only care about hard cost savings," and it's like, okay, so you're talking about the piece price of the tool then? And then when we step through the impacts of extending tool life and
Right,
improving productivity, it's like that, if all that is important to the customer is the piece price of the tool, they're probably not going to get the focus and the impact on, tool life extension and process improvements, throughput improvements that we know is very impactful for those customers. So when that's the case, we typically have to back up, represent it to them, make sure they're comfortable with what we focus on. And it's not easy, Kurt. If it
right.
was easy, anybody would do it, but it's absolutely worth it. The payoff is very, very big for our customers. And when our field application specialists show a customer a $248,000 annual cost savings by selling them either a cheaper insert or a more expensive one, that the customers are jumping up and down, high
Yeah,
fiving. So
right.
we know that, it's not easy to get everybody there. The procurement world has done a really nice job of driving the piece price down on the category. So it's pretty compressed. So we know that we have to be competitive, but we don't typically come in and just blow the customers, doors off with our
Right.
cheap piece price. It's,
Hmm.
it's competitive piece price with a lot of value that goes along with that. But we spend a lot of time on piece price. Like I said in the opening, it's very important to us. We understand, we know we got to get there, but we also understand that cost savings can go much deeper than that, and we really have a duty to educate our customers on that.
I feel like in so many ways, if we were to summarize everything we've talked about, knowledge would be one of the biggest things. We need to both on our side as experts understand what we're talking about, but then be able to give that knowledge to anybody who's looking for it and explain why it matters. Hey, you want improvement in time, you want an improvement in cost. These are ways that you can get where you want to go. And that really just comes off of, hey, you got to know the whole situation before you can really start tinkering.
Yeah.
Okay.
You,
Um,
you're spot on, Kurt. Look, Kurt, being a former journalist turned Fastenaler, now works for our marketing team. I am very excited to have helped educate you a little bit on what we do, Kurt.
well, and on that note, I feel like we're done. We don't have any more questions coming in. Thank you, everybody. This will be live. You'll get it in your inbox. You'll see my name. Find us on LinkedIn. Add us. Let's talk. Thanks for your time, everybody.
Much appreciated, everybody. Thank y'all.